Hello everyone, welcome to the investment management class. I am Impa Balepa, Associate Professor, Department of Management Sciences, Maharaja Institute of Technology, Mysore. In the previous class, we have started Unit 6, and in Unit 6, we have discussed market efficiency and behavioral finance. In market efficiency, we discussed random walk theory, efficient market hypothesis, the different forms of market efficiency or empirical tests which are used on different forms of market efficiency. And in behavioral finance, we discussed its meaning, interpretation, bias, and critics. In today's class, we'll be learning these three topics, which is portfolio management strategies, portfolio revision, and portfolio performance evaluation. So first, let us know what is portfolio management strategy. Let's begin with its meaning. Okay, portfolio management strategy refers to the approaches that are applied to the efficient portfolio management in order to generate the highest possible returns at the lowest possible risk. That is, lowest risk with highest returns that we are trying to get using portfolio management strategies. It is a process which needs a frequent change in the composition of stock and bonds. You need to keep on changing the stock and bonds. And while coming to the types, there are two important types, that is active portfolio management strategy and passive portfolio management strategy. In this, let us understand what is active portfolio management strategy, and then we'll go on with the passive. Active portfolio management strategy is which involves making precise investment for outperforming an investment benchmark index. Like there will be an investment benchmark index. In order to outperform it, you need to be active, and that's the reason it is known as active portfolio management strategy. In this, the portfolio manager who follows this kind of strategy exploits the market efficiencies by buying undervalued securities or by short selling overvalued securities, and they can do this procedure in any combination they wish to. And most of the investor professionals are very aggressive kind of investors who try to earn superior returns over the market return. Like they want to get more return. That's the reason they are called as aggressive investors. And those who are into this active portfolio management strategy, they keep on changing the combination of they shuttle between undervalued and overvalued securities. Whenever the prices are undervalued, they buy, so that whenever it increases, they sell it. They can sell it, or they even sell the short selling. That is, if they, even though they don't have the shares, they sell the shares, and whenever the price reduces, they are going to buy it and make a delivery. Okay, and the style of stock selection under active portfolio management strategy is top down approach. And what is this approach is where the market as a whole and decide about the industries and sectors that are expected to perform well on the ongoing economic cycle, like in the future economic cycle, which will tend to perform better. And they also have a bottom up approach. The first one was top down approach. The second approach is bottom up approach. In this approach, the market conditions and expected trends are ignored. Like what was important in the first one, the market trends and conditions are ignored. The company's evaluation is based on its strength of the product line, financial statement, or any other criteria like this. Based on these criteria, it is measured and evaluation is made for the purpose of investment. Coming to the second type, that is passive portfolio management strategy. The types can be divided into two: active and passive. Active and passive. So in passive portfolio management strategy, this is where investors make an investment as per the fixed, as per the fixed strategy that does not involve any forecasting. Okay, they do not forecast anything. Randomly they make the investment and take decision. It stresses on minimizing the investment fees, okay, so that they don't get more of expenses, and avoiding unpleasant results of failing to the correctly predicted or prediction of future. If you correctly predict, it is a lot more effort you need in order to make a correct prediction. Okay, you need to do the market analysis, you need to spend time and money for all the information you retrieve. Rather than getting failure out of these efforts, it's better to randomly predict. That is the concept of passive portfolio management strategy. Followers of this approach, they believe that market is efficient. They create a well diversified portfolio and hold it till the investment horizons, like till the time to maturity, so that definitely they are going to earn profits. And the style of selection in this is based on efficient market theory. So efficient market theory, previously we have already done, where they say that the information that affects the market is immediately available and possessed by all the investors, and such information is always considered in the evaluation of market price. Okay, that it is everyone, all the investors, they are going to get the information equally and free and quick. So this is what efficient market theory states. And the other style of stock selection is indexing theory. So the index funds can offer better over the managed funds, because they have lower than the average expense ratio and transaction cost. Okay, that's the reason they give better results. This is another theory which is used in passive portfolio management strategies. So active strategy and passive strategy. So these are the two different strategies or types, which we can say, which we come across in portfolio management strategy. Sometimes in the exam they ask question that what are the different portfolio management strategies you follow. So these two, that is active strategy and passive strategy, can be written. Okay, so this is about the portfolio management strategy. Let's move on to another topic, which is portfolio revision. So in the portfolio revision, let's begin with its meaning. What do you mean by portfolio revision? The term itself is telling you what do you mean by portfolio revision, revising. So the art of changing the mix of securities of the portfolio, that is known as portfolio revision. It means the sale and purchase of assets in the existing portfolio over a certain period of time that maximizes the return and minimizes the risk, or changing the ratio of funds to be invested in, that is known as portfolio revision. To give an example for you, if for example 50,000 is invested and 25 in equity and 25 in debt, then you keep on juggling with its combination. Like whenever the equity price increases, you sell the remaining and put it in bonds, or if bond price increases, you sell the equity and put it into bond. If equity price increases, you sell the bond and put it in equity, or you just make a combination of additional and deletion of the securities. That is known as portfolio revision. But basic, your aim is to get higher return with less risk. That is your aim, and that itself is the need. Why do you need to do portfolio revision? So you need to do portfolio revision because at any certain point of time, if I feel that you need to invest more, then the need of this portfolio revision arises. For example, 20,000 you have invested now, then as an individual you might get, like, you want to add additional money to it, you may add 24 more thousand to it. So then you can have a combination of only equity or only debt, then or a combination of equity or debt. So like this you are going to revise if you want to add more. Or else you might feel the need that if you want to change your investment goal, like depending on the cash flow, an individual can modify his financial goals, like whether he want to go for higher liquidity oriented stock, or whether you want to go for a safety oriented. If earlier it was a safety oriented goal, then later on it might change to liquidity oriented goal. So you might feel that yes, you need to change your portfolio. That is nothing but you need to revise your portfolio in order to as you have changed your investment goal. Okay, that is the second need. And third need is where normally the market will be subject to risk and uncertainty. So due to this risk and uncertainty and fluctuations in the market, uh, sometimes your risk increases and return decreases. So you need to sell out the stocks which are giving low return and high risk. That is when you have to do the revision, portfolio revision. So these are the different needs which is done under portfolio revision. And coming to the strategies of portfolio revision, let's know why do you need to have these strategies. The objective of having this portfolio revision is like to maximize the return for the given level of risk, or to minimize the risk for a given level of return. Either return should be constant or the risk should be constant, and you have to maximize the return for the same risk or minimize the risk for the same return. Ultimately, your objective is to maximize the return and minimize the risk. Less risk and higher return. And coming to the different types of strategies, in this also we have active revision strategies and passive revision strategies. Okay, what are these active revision strategies? Active revision strategies, frequent changes in the existing portfolio over a certain period of time to the maximize return and minimize risk. That is active, like it can keep on changing. And it helps the portfolio manager to sell and purchase the securities on a regular basis for portfolio revision. You need to keep on buying and selling the securities for a regular change. And coming to the passive revision strategy, passive strategy involves rare changes. You will not make more changes as you hold the stock until maturity. Under certain predetermined rules and regulations and formula plans, you make changes. That is passive revision strategy. And according to the passive revision strategy, managers can bring in changes in the portfolio only using formula plans. Now, what are these formula plans? So, strategies here, there is active and passive, and in passive you have formula plans. Okay, you have formula plans. And now what are these formula plans? Formula plans are certain predetermined rules and regulations in deciding when and how much assets should an individual purchase or sell for portfolio revision. Like what is the percentage of what is the percentage of investment which need to be sold or purchased during that period of time, that is known as formula plans. And securities can be purchased or sold when there are lots of changes and fluctuations in the financial market. And what is the importance of these formula plans? Formula plans help an investor to make the best possible use of fluctuations of financial market, and purchase shares whenever the prices are less and sell off when the prices are high. With the help of this formula plans, investors can divide the funds into aggressive portfolio or defensive portfolio. In formula plans, you get a combination of aggressive portfolio or defensive portfolio, and easy transfer from one portfolio to another portfolio. For the purpose of understanding formula plans, first we need to understand what is aggressive and what is defensive. So I'll write aggressive and defensive short forms. Okay, so let's know and understand what do you mean by aggressive and defensive portfolios. Aggressive portfolio consists of funds that appreciate quickly and guarantee the maximum return to the investors. So it gives quick and guaranteed returns to the investors, and it is equity oriented. Simple, if we have to say, normally we say that aggressive portfolio is where they look into higher return and constant return. So they look into more of equity shares. Whereas defensive portfolio, they consist of securities that do not fluctuate much and remains constant over a period of time. So it is like government and corporate bonds with fixed income securities. So this fixed income securities are defensive. So defensive is like guaranteed income safety, 100% you can rely on that is bonds. Whereas equity, it's keep on fluctuating, maybe it's a principal or it's dividend, everything is fluctuating in equity. So there are two types of portfolio. One is the aggressive portfolio and another one is the defensive portfolio. Coming to the types of formula plans, there are different types of formula plans. This is the kinds of investors or portfolio you get in formula plans. But there are different types of formula plan. For example, first formula plan, I'll just write here. First formula plan is rupee cost averaging. Rupee cost average. Okay, rupee cost average is the first formula plan. Here it is advised to buy when the security prices are low, and this will reduce your transaction cost like commission, brokerage, because that is all be based on your lump sum amount. That's the reason you can reduce it. So it is better to buy the securities whenever the prices are low. And the rupee cost average program is very useful over the long period of time. It is for long term, and with if it is great having a lot of fluctuations, then it is more beneficial. It gives importance to the selection, the right quality of stock, and the timing of purchase or sale. That is more given more importance in rupee cost averaging. When an investor has no funds but yet he wants to build a good investment portfolio, rupee cost averaging is very useful. And second one, we can say that another formula plan, that is constant value plan. Okay, constant value plan. So the plan that specifies the normal value of the aggressive assets which remains constant. Like when the value of aggressive asset raises, the investor should sell. When the value of aggressive assets falls, then the investor should buy the asset in order to maintain its value constant. Okay, in that constant value plan, you have two division, that is constant ratio plan and variable ratio plan. Constant ratio and variable ratio. Constant ratio plan and variable ratio plan. Constant ratio plan is where it maintains a fixed ratio between aggressive and conservative assets of a portfolio. The investor constructs a portfolio comprising of aggressive and conservative. Like aggressive assets, whenever an aggressive asset raises, the investor should sell, and whenever the aggressive assets fall, the investor should buy. That's it, in order to keep an instant ratio. Like the ratio is common. If you have 50,000, 25,000 in each, that is equity, and bond is fixed. The ratio is fixed, which is 50% and 50%. Any amount you invest, for example, additional 10,000 you invest, the ratio becomes 50-50 and the investment becomes 30-30. If you have 25k and 25k each invested, so this is in the ratio of 50:50, that is 50-50%, okay, or 1:1 ratio. 1:1 ratio. So if you add additional 10k, then this becomes 30k and 30k. Again, this is in the ratio of 1:1 itself. Okay, whatever the price is, that is constant ratio plan. The ratio is constant even though the amount changes, reduces, whatever happens. If it is this is plus 10k, if it is minus 20k, if it is minus 20k, then the investment would be 20k and 20k, but even then the ratio will be 1:1 itself. That is constant ratio plan. The next is variable ratio plan. So in this variable ratio plan, the initial portions of the aggressive and conservative asset changes in response to the changes in the market. Like if the bond price increases, then automatically if it is going beyond a limit, you sell that and you sell equity and put it in the bond. If equity increases, you sell the bond and put it in the equity. And the variable ratio plan requires the investor steadily lowers the aggressive assets as the price increases, and steadily increases the aggressive assets. Aggressive assets is where you deal with equity, okay, when the price decreases. This is what they have to do, and new ratio is adapted based on the increasing portion. So here ratio is not constant. So if you are investing again 10,000, we'll make some changes in this amount to tell you with the example. So if you have invested 30,000 in equity and 10,000 in debenture, if additional 10k is investing and this equity is raising, then you invest 40 in equity and 10 itself in bond. If you have to deduct again 10 from these, if the bonds are not performing well, you take out and invest high in this. There is no particular any ratio fixed. As and when changes, you can make the changes. Okay, this is about the variable ratio plan. Okay, hopefully you have understood this. So here you can see that we have dealt with portfolio revision. We have understood its meaning, the need of it, and the different strategies that have active strategy and passive strategy. In order to run with the passive strategy, you need the formula plans, and to understand the formula plans, you need aggressive stocks and defensive stocks. So aggressive stocks are where, or aggressive portfolio is where more investment is made on equity shares. Defensive portfolio is where more investment is made on bonds. Okay, and the formula plans, which are differently known as rupee cost averaging and constant value plan. And in constant value plan, you have divisions with constant ratio and variable ratio. Hope so it is clear. And last one, which is portfolio performance evaluation. Okay, portfolio performance evaluation. Let's know the meaning of it. Performance results which are used to assess the quality of investment approach and suggest changes based on that. That is portfolio evaluation. They are also used to communicate the results of investment process to the stakeholders, and even it is being used to compensate the investment managers. Okay, it is used to compensate the investment manager. In total, in order to understand the performance of the mutual funds or the stocks, this approach is used. The different approaches are used, which I'll tell you now. Among that, to calculate the return, we use holding period return. So, what do you mean by holding period return? The holding period return is the total return of an asset or an investment portfolio over a period of the asset or portfolio, okay, which is being held. The holding period return can be realized if an asset of a portfolio has been held or expected, or if an investor only anticipates the purchase of the asset. Means he need to hold the stock until its maturity. The holding period return can be used in order to compare the performance of different investments or assets, in addition to the metric where it is used to identify the appropriate tax rates. Okay, if it is used to identify the appropriate tax rate, holding period return would be more beneficial. Okay, so let's know the formula for holding period return. I'll just erase all of these. Okay, portfolio performance evaluation. Okay. So under that, first one we are discussing is holding period return. Okay. So the formula which we use is income plus we use Vn and V naught divided by V naught. This is holding period return. Here, holding period return can also be said as investment appreciation plus investment income. So, income here, the distribution of cash flows from the investment, that is dividend. Dividends are known as income, and Vn is where the ending price of the investment, and V naught is where the beginning price of investment. So, in order to evaluate the mutual funds or anything else, we use the one of the method which we use, that is holding period. In order to calculate the return, we can use holding period return. Okay. Let's discuss the measures of portfolio performance. The first measure of portfolio performance is trainer measure. Okay, measure of performance. In this measure, Jack L. Trainer, he was the first to provide investor with the composite measure of portfolio performance. It includes like Trainer's objective is to find a performance measure that could apply all the investors regardless of their personal risk preferences. And Trainer suggested that there are two different components of risk. First is the risk produced by fluctuations in the stock market and the risk arising from the fluctuations of individual securities. The first risk is produced due to the fluctuations of stock market. The another is arising out of the fluctuations of individual securities, stock market and individual securities. The fluctuations arising from them are the different kinds of risk produced, and he says that irrespective of the personal risk preferences, the performance can be measured. They can apply this measure. Okay. Formula for this is average return on portfolio minus average risk-free rate of return divided by beta. We can put that as RP minus RF divided by beta. RP means average return from portfolio. RF means risk-free rate of return, and beta is the measurement which we normally compare it with the market. Stock return and market return comparison. So, this is about Trainer's measure. Next is Sharpe's measure. Okay, next is Sharpe's measure. In Sharpe's measure, we can say that the ratios of it is quite similar to Trainer's measure, except one thing, that the risk which is measured is in the terms of standard deviation and not in the form of beta. Like considering only systematic risk as represented by beta. Beta is representing only systematic risk. This has to representing systematic and unsystematic. That's the reason we use a standard deviation. So the formula for this is RP minus RF divided by standard deviation P. Okay, that is average return of the portfolio minus risk-free rate of return, average risk-free rate of return divided by standard deviation of portfolio. So this is Sharpe's measure, and the last measure is Jensen measure. Jensen measure is calculated using CAPM. Okay, that we did it in the 5th unit. And the creator of this is Michael C. Jensen, and this is William Sharpe. Creator of Jensen is Michael C. Jensen. And Jensen measure calculates the excess return that a portfolio generates over its expected return. Okay, how much extra return it earns, that is excess return it earns from the expected return, and this is also known as alpha, which we have done entirely in the 5th unit. The Jensen ratio measures how much the portfolio's rate of return is attributed to the manager's ability to deliver more above average returns adjusted to the market risk. The higher the ratio, it's better the risk adjusted return. Okay, a portfolio will be consistently positive excess return will have a positive alpha, while if a portfolio is more consistent negative excess return, then it will have a negative alpha. And this is measured, that is Jensen measure is done in a form of RP minus SML. That is, RP is average return on portfolio minus security market line return. Okay, security market line return. And SML is security market line, as I've said. And formula for this we can use is, for this also there is formula. SML is equal to this, you all know, RF plus beta RM minus RF. So this completely we have dealt in 5th unit. So RF plus beta RM minus RF. You can use this formula. Here RF is risk-free rate of return. Beta is when compared to the stock and the market. RM is return on market, and RF is risk-free rate of return. You can use this formula and find out SML and have a comparison between return of portfolio and SML. So this is Jensen measure. Hope so it is clear. We have dealt 4 different ways of calculating is portfolio performance evaluation, that is holding period return. Through that you can calculate the holding period return, and the measures which we use, Trainer's measure, Sharpe measure and Jensen's measure. So hope though this is very much clear for you all and you have understood the different concepts which we have covered today. So we have covered 3 different topics today. One is the portfolio performance evaluation, where we did these different measures. Another one is portfolio management strategies and portfolio revision and its strategies. Okay, so hope so the concepts are clear to you. And in the next class, we'll be discussing, we'll be doing various problems on Trainer, Sharpe and Jensen. And this is one of the important problem which will be definitely coming in your exams. And it is quite easy to, they have similar type of problems given every year. So if you just solve around 5 to 6 problems, you will get an idea how to solve Sharpe, Trainer and Jensen. It's just substitution of values and it is very easy. Okay, so meet you in the next class with problems. Thank you.